Little pulse.
Good, great flame control.
Little jelly roll.
The bass support layering in on top of it.
The space.
Jesus. I think every time I saw, and I'll back up, but I want to get the whole quad
Kudos
phrase,
to
obviously.
them.
I think my reaction to that snare moment all season was just Jesus. Every time. Just, holy crap.
I remember watching Giovanna do like a breakdown video because they
From
released
spring
it.
training, yeah.
And I was just watching the hands. I was like, damn, it sounds good.
Yeah, it's that's an interesting phrase. It was one of those phrases we're kind of representing sort of like if you're watching the movie Jaws, and like this is what we're thinking about. You're on, you're on the ship, or you're on land, or whatever, you're talking about the shark. But then you go underwater and you can see the shark in its own kind of like environment. It's swimming around, and it's the impending doom of Moby Dick, I guess, is what we're thinking about. And that's like kind of how it started. There was no music. We were just talking about like, okay, in this episode, we kind of finished the celebration of we're off to go on this whaling ship, or off to like, get our riches and get this white whale. And then like movement 2, which is this piece you're listening to, is allophone and snares kind of starts, and processed timpani. It was just this idea of like you're underwater, and it's like this suspended kind of texture. And so when I was writing it, it was really fun to write because, a lot of times I think I write a lot to the brass and I write a lot to the music. There was no music. So you can just kind of create texture and dynamic, and a lot of the fours.
A lot more
It took us a
freedom.
long time. It took us a long time because it was really mechanical for a lot of the season. I think actually, I forgot, like listening to it at the end, they kind of got in their hands where it was kind of just rounded. It was like a pulsed roll, but it was a 4. That's why we used the 4s there. It wasn't just to make it hard. It kind of created like a pulse inside of these suspended, up and down dynamics.
Yeah. You can hear those little pulses throughout that entire phrase.
Yeah, right off the bat, that first roll, just like kind of just hits you like a little bubble.
Well, it's rare you have an opportunity to write like that because, again, we have 80 brass. So a lot of times, or we're representing a motive in the music, so you're kind of tied to melody or structure. Right. And it was fun because this one, Keith Potter, our artistic director, he said, take 40 seconds and we can create something. And we rarely have, I feel like we don't have a lot of chances to do that. In indoor, there's a lot of opportunity to do that.
Sure,
and that's what's fun. And maybe I was even influenced by one of those kind of open moments in indoor where you could create texture. It wasn't like you're trying to hold down a melody or hold down some kind of, content from the show arc. You can kind of create texture.
That whole pulse concept you're talking about, it's very subtle, and that's going to get lost underneath a horn line. Like, you're not really going to, like, the audience is never going to understand or hear any of that. And I actually had never thought before of, obviously I always appreciated the difficulty of throwing those 4s in there, but it is that same mirrored texture or concept of that pulsed accent in the middle of a roll, and you get that accent by just throwing the rudiment in there or the sticking, and it just kind of naturally happens and allows you to work that difficulty in there and maintain the same flow and concept throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, because like 4s, if I was playing, like when I was a player, we'd play stick control, you play 4s, and I could muscle them all out. I could play with even quality. When you play them fast like this, you have to put a button on the first stroke so you can drop catch it. And it's so that's why it's like playing a roll with stresses in it, but it's a 4. So it offers like cool accenting to it. That was really what the idea was behind it anyway. And the snares, they did a good job of dealing with this pressure of it because there's nothing going on in it. So you can, a lot of times it's demoralizing early season because you could play it 95% perfect and then one of them can miss, and then only the judges only talk about the one that missed.
Right.
So so sometimes that, like you're asking me, that's one of those, like you can start to think, well, maybe we take that one out. But this phrase, even if one missed, I didn't care because it was effective musically. So who cares?
Right. Got the job
Another
done.
Star 93 air reference. The Star 93 stick control was the second stick control I ever learned in my life.
It was just a copy of what I was doing at Vanguard at the time in
With
the,
the
in the
little
earlier
roll, yeah.
days. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That's right.
All right, well, let's let the rest of this phrase play again, and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
we'll let it flow into the quad feature afterwards and keep going.
Cool.
Rebound flams. Oof, such a quick motion. Wow. Really, really, really good.
I don't think I heard a single rim in that.
It wasn't that time. Some other times it might have been.
Great blend. Bases.
Something else I want to point this out too, that super low roll quality you guys get allows to jump out of the music naturally is that the high to low, or like the dynamic contrast from how loud you all play at times, and you'll pull the bottom right out and go right back down to a speedo roll like that, and it's just that contrast is so much more pronounced with you all with how low you get, and really your peaks and valleys are so distinct, and it just goes back and forth throughout the whole book, and it's awesome. It just punches you in the face every time it happens as a viewer.
A lot of that dynamic change was really to, like, I think I could have argued, like, you could have just like stopped the drum line and let the basses play, and it probably would have gotten more applause, because it's really about the bass drums there. When we go down on that long roll, listen to the bass drum part, because when we go low, you can hear that motion. They're doing a really crazy split part in there. But thinking about it now, like, I probably should have just taken the drum line out and let the bass drums play that.
Just do their thing
It's like
the whole time.
It's like a bass feature, but I always like there to be accompaniment to the feature. But that was, to me, that was not about the roll. It was about the bass drums.
Right. All right, I backed up a
listen to
little
bass
bit.
drums.
I think we'll get it in here. We'll go back a little farther. Yeah, here we go. This should get it. Yep.
Ooh. Loving it. the